Welcome to Chaotic Crossover, everybody. Oh God, we gotta talk about the sequel trilogy today. I'm
We gotta
Will.
do it. We said, yeah, I'm AJ. We said we'd do it. We said we'd do it, and we ran out of other ideas for now. There'll be other stuff coming. This
We
is what
have
we
an
got.
entire list, but we said we'd talk about it. And the fact is, we're talking so much Star Wars at this point, we figured let's lower the bar. And I'm so sorry I have to say that, but it's true. It's true. When you
Like, we
think
haven't even
about the
talked like the Mandalorian yet or anything. Oh,
oh God, but listen. At the end of the day, I feel like they were good movies that didn't know what they were doing. You know,
no. That's so generous. That is so generous.
one of us has to be positive
No, we
here. One of
don't. This is a
yes,
negative video. This is a negative Nancy video. I'm declaring it.
this is a hate watch. We are
Look,
targeting right
we can
now.
be positive about everything else, and like, look, I hate being negative. I do it a lot more than I want to. I do it a lot. If you've watched any of our videos, you've seen me be negative, but it always feels bad. But this, I don't. I'll have a couple positive things to say, but it's only gonna be a couple, and the rest
Okay.
is gonna be.
Fair enough. I think we should just obviously say if you haven't seen the sequel trilogy, obviously you've been living under a rock, but basically, we feel like there were some flaws. So if you haven't seen any of the sequel trilogy for Star Wars or Star Wars in general, this is not the video for you because we're just
If
going
you
to be talking real inside baseball on this.
if you haven't seen them at this point, you don't have to. You know, maybe in the future they'll build off them and then they'll be required watching for something good. But right now, I think you're good. You're fine.
Yeah. So, AJ, just blanket statement. What's your issue with the sequel trilogy? What is your overarching issues? Because this is
Um,
a you thing. This is a real you sort of situation.
there's a lot. I will say one thing that I think they did pretty well. I would say mostly across the board. If there, I can't right now think of any flaws, but I think the casting was pretty good. The people that they
Agreed.
got,
No, the
like,
cast was amazing.
they got the old actors back. They got some new actors that have charisma and chemistry with each other. Um, but the characterization was
Less.
not on par with their acting ability.
It was definitely a tough ride, to say the least. But yes, I think the characterization was a little all over the place. I will agree with you on that. Case in point, they gave the Millennium Falcon to a girl. No, I'm not one of those people. We are not. We
You
are
have to have
not
a
one of those.
massive dick to control the Millennium Falcon,
Yeah,
like
you gotta have the
Han.
biggest. You gotta have the biggest swinging death stick in town to ride this place. But no, we are not one of those people who it's like
No,
there's female Ghostbusters. The feminists are taking over. We're not. This is not what this
no.
is. But no, I think genuinely when it comes to characterization, they didn't give enough for Ray to do. Actually, they were just like, well, I'm powerful and I'm nice. There wasn't a lot of
Yep.
conflict going on,
They
unfortunately.
tried to
Which
add it in Rise of Skywalker, and I don't think anyone believed it.
she was like, I can use lightning, which means I have a dark side. And it's like, no,
Oh,
you
I
just
saw vision. Oh, I saw a vision where I have lightsaber nunchucks things. There's not
and I
actually
got teeth.
nunchucks.
I got fangs because I'm a vampire. I guess the dark side makes you a vampire or a cannibal or apparently just have some kind of teeth disease where they just aren't, how they're supposed to look. You look like Jaws from James Bond, which is not the look you want to have.
No, it's not.
Which, by the way, I want to say, Rey had a really good thing going for her in The Force Awakens because she was kind of rough around the edges. She fended for herself.
Yeah.
Like she was very independent. And if she got in a fight, chances are she'd mess somebody up. And she wanted to get away. There was the call for adventure. It was Luke Skywalker, which we already know. Force Awakens is just a new hope again. So
Yep.
there was a lot of potential to actually be used for Rey. But they got so hooked up, they got so wound up in the mystery box of who's the parents, who's the grandparents, why she's so powerful. I think they might have taken it too far, and then that's all we were thinking about. And then when we got the answer we had, we didn't like it.
And then they changed it. They changed their mind. No,
it's nobody, it's everybody. Everyone's her mom and dad.
Yeah. My name's Ray Skywalker. I know that's not her accent, but
wow, going Cockney. Really, poor Daisy Ridley. Poor Daisy Ridley.
Yeah. Daisy Ridley, she seems lovely, honestly. She seems like a delightful person based on all the interviews that I've seen, and she's a decent actress.
Good performance, very good performance.
She did a good job.
Enjoyed the dickens out of
great.
her.
All the actors do a good job with what they were handed them. But I think maybe we can break this down by movie, maybe, and like maybe explore what goes wrong with that. So like starting off with number 7, The Force Awakens, the best out of the trilogy. I think most people agree. Not a bad movie. Not the direction I would have gone if I was making the movie. Maybe that might be a conversation for another day, but like the setup for the other 2 movies wasn't great, and it, as you said, it was just A New Hope again. But it was nostalgia bait. That's what it was. It was nostalgia bait, and it worked. And in general, it was okay. There were some interesting choices that we can talk about.
Could you imagine living in a world? I'm sorry, I just want to say this. Could you imagine living in a world where Force Awakens didn't, break even? Like it just didn't work. And then all of those movies just don't end up happening. Like we don't have Star Wars as we know it today. Because that movie broke the bank. Like it made its money back and tripled, quadrupled it. But just, it would be insane. But no, I agree. It was nostalgia bait, literally to the point where throughout the movies, by the way, throughout that trilogy, it's all about, it's like, wait, you're Luke Skywalker? You're Han Solo? You're Leia? Because you're not a princess anymore, because you need people to rule over to do that. General Leia. Listen, a lot of the characterization is good. Kylo Ren is actually a pretty good villain. When you think about the fact of, a lot of people give him shit for this at the beginning. I love that he is basically a Darth Vader fanboy trying to be an edgelord. Because it's an opposite thing. It's a guy who is inherently good trying to be bad. And he's freaking out, and he's doing tantrums, and he's striking stuff with his lightsaber. Like, it's great.
Right.
It's overpowered.
I saw an interview with him, and he was basically like, basically what I was told they were going for when we started the movies was we were doing the opposite of Vader. Vader being like someone fully committed to the dark and then having conflict at the end. And we were going conflict now, and then he'll eventually turn himself fully over the dark. And I was like, oh, that is an interesting mirror to kind of hold up. That's cool. That's an interesting way to do that. The lightsaber, like, as much as if you want to make fun of the exhaust force, it's fine. It does look cool.
I like it. It's a good design. We all wish we had it, honestly. But no, he was a great addition, especially when you get, like, despite what happens later, you got Snoke as, like, this sort of, like, hidden, like, emperor figure. You get
Andy Serkis as Snoke,
who, by the way, we got Andy Serkis as Snoke. You got Domhnall Gleeson as Hux.
Yeah,
General
we love
Hux,
Bill Weasley.
Is killing it. He's doing great, that Ginge. He's doing an amazing job.
He might be one of
scary.
He might be one of the best performances in the sequels, I would say. Like, he does a fantastic job. Like, that speech to all the stormtroopers, because
to the First Order, it's
and like the concept of, like, it's like, oh, well, the stormtroopers in the original trilogy were based off of the Nazis and Nazi Germany and stuff, and then in history, a lot of them, like, there were groups of them, like splinter groups that, like, splintered off and went concept. And then this is like, hey, what if those splinter groups reformed and came back? And that's a cool idea.
Yes. It's a very good idea.
I wouldn't have brought him back in the same way, but it's cool.
Right. At least the main issue I think with the villains was just it's the Empire, but again, they
Yeah.
didn't do anything new, which is fine considering us finding out who's in charge of it all at the end. But with all things considered, it was nostalgia. They wanted stormtroopers, so they got stormtroopers. They wanted X-wings, even though it's a 40-year-old technology at this point. We got X-wings, and they're still coming out, baby.
Yeah, I mean, this might be getting into like
But
what I would have done, but I would have loved to see, instead of like the Empire again, make them the rebels this time, and like the New Republic is
yeah,
trying to hold together for that, and maybe we can watch the New Republic collapse or something. That would be a new
yeah,
thing. Like seeing another government collapse might be a prequel, like, but in a
yeah.
different
Well,
way.
it's like poetry. It rhymes, as George would say. But no, going on to like the heroes, like again, Ray is great. Poe Dameron and
Yeah,
Finn. Like, by the way, ideas of a stormtrooper turning good, like breaking good, because he actually can't handle the horrors of war and like what the First Order stands for. Interesting. I want to see it. I want to see it happen. And you get to see somebody who's a real Han Solo type in Poe
yep,
getting to just get flash frozen by a Dark Lord of the Sith, which that
right,
is probably one of the breakout powers, just stasis.
yep,
Um,
and it
but no,
and,
I
and it's
the
good.
the
Like Oscar
relationship
Isaac.
between the two is great.
Yeah, yeah, they have like a bromance. Oscar Isaac is super charming in general, but like on screen as Poe
Oh
Dameron,
yeah,
like when he like dies, um, you're like, oh man, that was a cool character. I'm sad that they kind of killed him off so soon, and then they bring him back, and you're like, hell yeah, this guy's back. This guy was awesome. And yeah, the
yeah.
idea of a
Which, by the way,
stormtrooper.
he was. Well, I'm just saying he was actually supposed to die. Like that character, Poe Dameron, is
Oh,
supposed to die in the script, but they decided they liked him so much, we're gonna bring him back and basically just be like, hey, and they pulled him out, and
that's
he's
my jacket.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
it looks good
but
on you. Mm.
mm, oh, you look so good in my jacket. You should wear some of my other
Should have
clothes.
happened. Should have
I'll just take
happened.
them off real quick. Anyway, but yeah, the idea of a stormtrooper like turning to the light side, that's really cool. That's a cool character to explore, and at the time, it was the first one of the really the first time in Star Wars we'd seen that. Um, but then you watch him gun down all of his fellow soldiers like they don't matter to him.
Yeah, stabbing him with a
Uh,
lightsaber. And
yeah,
then there is good tension though, like when there's one that's like traitor, and like they have the
yeah.
whole battle that way. I'm like, that's a moment. That's a
But the whole thing is
character
like
moment.
we're taking the stormtroopers in the original trilogy were basically a bunch of cannon fodder for our heroes. That's what they were.
Yeah.
And like I remember as a kid, I was like, oh man, I would love to be in Star Wars, but oh man, but like I couldn't like kill people. But stormtroopers, they're just like robots, basically. Like they're just random people, whatever. And so like they serve the purpose of soldiers. But in this, they were like, let's humanize stormtroopers. And then that one stormtrooper that we're gonna humanize, he's gonna commit genocide of all those other now humanized stormtroopers.
Right. And as we find out later, he was a janitor and everybody hated his ass. So maybe he's just more of a school shooter type. We don't know. But maybe that's why he joined could be why he joined the rebellion. Just everyone hated his ass and
Yeah,
the Empire was just bullying him.
but
Faz
I
was
do.
giving him shit.
But he's just like Ray. He's like, I'm trying to get away from everything. And like, yeah, but he's a good idea for a character. A good. Here's the thing. There's a lot of good ideas.
There's a lot of good seeds that
There's a
they're
lot of
planting. And then we're gonna throw in to be fair, I think the story gets muddled, and this is going to sound crazy. I think it gets muddled because they put the legacy characters in there. They put Chewbacca, they put Han, they put
right.
Leia, they put Luke,
And
and it's difficult to get away from that because guess what? there wasn't any legacy shit in the prequels. You either liked it or you didn't. And the only
Yeah,
illusion they had was that Anakin Skywalker will become Darth Vader, but it's two separate things at that point. So
yeah. I
there's
mean,
nothing really tying it together. So when you get like Han and Chewie, you get disappointed because you're like, oh, we're still doing the same shit we were doing 40 years ago? We're still smuggling? We're that's what we're
right?
doing?
Like with the prequels, we can be like, here's how they became the characters you loved, and they're gonna
Right.
change into those people over time. This is like, here's the characters that you loved. How would they get worse over time?
Right.
And like they also kind of did
Yeah.
lock themselves, but like they locked themselves, and they felt this with Carrie Fisher later in the series. Like now all those actors are old; they're a certain age, and they didn't really do as much de-aging back then. So like if you want to use the original actors, which to be fair, if you were writing the stories, you probably would, because if they're there and they're willing to do it, like
Yeah.
you're gonna make money. Um, but
Absolutely.
it's like, okay, well now it has to take place 40 something years later because that's how old the actors are now. We can't do a
Right.
story 10 years later. We can't. The actors aren't the same age.
Yeah. So there's certainly that, but I do think when thinking about it, actually not a bad choice to kill Han Solo. Not a bad choice to kill Han Solo because it's needed. You need something to get Kylo over the edge if you're doing that plot to turn him to the dark side. Granted, they could have paid that off a lot more where maybe both Finn and Rey are force sensitive and they are able to fight Kylo together, but I digress.
Yeah, and maybe they'll do that. I don't know, in the future movies or whatever. But
Right?
yeah,
Maybe it'll be
I
in a
saw this.
comic or something.
I saw this suggestion from another YouTube channel years ago. Channel I used to watch a lot, Super Carlin Brothers. And basically they were like, okay, we're gonna take the scene. Han Solo's gonna die, stabbed by the lightsaber. That's what it is. That's what we're gonna do. It's a cool moment. Han Solo's kind of the Ben Kenobi of the moment right now. He's like the mentor character sacrificing himself. We're killing off a major character. But instead of the way they showed it, we add in one small clip of Harrison Ford's hands turning on the lightsaber for his son, so his son didn't have to commit the killing act.
Ooh, sad. It's very sad,
But
but sweet, I guess.
poignant. Like,
Poignant. I don't know
and
if Han would. I don't think Han would do that. I don't think that's a very Han move. I'm sorry to say.
I think he would like because it's his son, and we haven't seen him as a dad much, but like and we're not fathers, but like I feel like fatherhood changes you, and seeing that moment of like that sacrifice for his son, so that you don't go to the dark side or something, or either that, or you just show him instead of being like, I don't know how to do this, and just being like, I hate you, Dad, and like actually seeing him like, I don't know, like it was just a weird moment the way they did it.
Right. But it does kind of wind up getting that rivalry started for Rey and Kylo, which is kind of like the big thing of like the rivalry slash relationship slash friendship that they're building throughout the trilogy, which I think is good. And you get that battle, you know, lines are drawn in the sand, and that's where we develop our thoughts for episode 8.
Well,
The
one more
Last
thing I want to
Jedi.
mention because
Yeah,
we talked about Han Solo. Weird choice to make Leia and Han divorced.
didn't have to happen. Didn't have to happen at all.
Like that was a choice that they made that you didn't. You could have just had them together, and
Just on the
maybe they're
rocks.
recruiting people to go find their son, or like find Luke so that he can find their son. Like,
Yeah.
like that was a weird. Like you took the most wholesome relationship in all of Star Wars.
Let's be honest, the only like actual relationship that's
The only
somewhat healthy.
the only romantic relationship at all, and just put it because like seriously, like go back and watch Return of the Jedi again. Like you think Han is this like smuggler type, and he's like maybe he's not going to be the best partner for someone because he's kind of an asshole. But then there's that moment in Return of the Jedi where he's like, "Oh, I understand. You love Luke." Or like earlier when he's like, she's crying over Luke, and he's like, "Why won't you tell me what's going on?" Because that's what like a toxic boyfriend might do. But then he goes, and you see him recognize, "Hey, she's crying. I'm gonna comfort her instead of like trying to figure out what's going on," which is so emotionally mature.
Yeah. We actually watched that together. We kind of realized like,
Yeah,
oh, Han's actually pretty based.
yeah,
We enjoy that. We enjoy that in our himbo scoundrels. Uh yeah, and then the whole thing of Force Awakens is that it's just one giant Easter egg hunt for Luke Skywalker,
yeah.
because they're just like, well, he left a hidden piece to in the galaxy. Before we get into Return of the Jedi, just go to that one place in space
Right?
where the piece is missing and just look around.
Oh, but it's
Scan.
like 7 galaxies. Yeah, it's like 7 galaxies, and you have light speed. It's not that many.
Guess what? Han's not doing jack shit. He's gathering like fucking tentacle mouths. So he could definitely use time to spare to look for Luke for the last 5, 7 years.
However long it's been.
Yeah.
Yeah, like making Luke not be there was another choice that they made that I like. I don't support the Layla Han divorce at all. I think it's weird. The Luke one, like, I wouldn't have made that choice, but it's not necessarily a bad choice. Like,
Yeah, it's not horrible. I do think it's funny though. It's just like, and he's missing, and we need to find him. Uh, but no, moving into Return of the Jedi, a lot of feelings. But I
oh, the
do
Last Jedi, you
think,
mean?
yes. Sorry, I was thinking of a better movie.
Yeah, yeah.
My apologies. So the Last Jedi. I almost said Return again. The Last Jedi. It's a good movie on the basis of when we're trying to build up this mystery between Kylo and Rey. Uh, Other points, very tough. But I think with Kylo and Rey, there is weirdly interest with Kylo from the minute that he finds out that there's a girl riding around in the Millennium Falcon. Now, they don't know who the parents are going to be at this point, but it's like, okay, there's already certain parts where he's digging into her and she has force powers and they're sort of bonded and they can sort of talk over certain distances. It's very interesting. That's the thing. It's always interesting. It's not great, but it keeps your attention. And then you're fuming. I'm just gonna say real quick, we can all agree, Canto Bite didn't need it. Felt like a Clone Wars episode inside of a Star Wars movie. So we can just put that on the table, leave it as it is. Now we can continue. AJ, I'm gonna let you rip.
Okay.
All right.
I do want to say, I don't
Oh boy.
mind the way that the Kylo and Rey relationship evolved in this movie. It's fine.
Oh boy.
That's
It's warming up. I can feel him. He's about to come out.
Everyone saw, you know,
Yep.
it's number 7.
It was number 7. Good film.
Everyone saw it, and they
Broke
were
the
like,
box
"Man,
office.
Ray's gotta be related to someone. She's
Is
gotta
it
be
Luke?
someone important."
Is it
She has
Leia?
a British accent, so obviously she's a Kenobi because, as we know, accents are genetic.
Right.
But still would have been a cool thing to do. I like Obi-Wan. I think he's cool.
Yeah.
We could figure
Everyone
that
gets
out.
their listen. It's not a sin to get your saber wet every now and then, Obi-Wan. It's all
Yeah,
good.
as we've established, Jedi can fuck. It's fine.
Yeah.
Uh,
It
um,
love has nothing to do with it. They're not celibate. They're not sexless monks, all right? They can get around. It's cool.
you could do that, and then she can also have some like Mandalorian heritage on top of that.
Right.
Cool.
And it's Corgi's, granddaughter or whatever we could have said,
Yeah, like could have been cool. And then so everyone was theorizing. Oh, she could be a Skywalker. She could be a Solo. She could be a Kenobi. Maybe she's related to these people. And everyone's like, oh, who's she gonna be? Like that was the big talk.
And then
after like number
who
7
was it,
trailers, and the
AJ?
number 7 movie came out. That was like, ooh, there's so many theories about who she could be. And then number 8
And
came
then
in.
who was it, AJ? The first
And,
time around.
and then number 8 came in. And they said, hey, you know how you guys are really excited to find out? Fuck you! It's no one! Because we don't give a shit about the fans. That's not what this is about.
Oh, okay. I think that's a little harsh. I personally like the idea that it's nobody, because then at least it's like, okay, there's no like destiny. It's just you were chosen by the Force and
What do
you're
you
gonna do your own
fucking
thing.
mean there's no destiny? The first 6 movies were about the chosen one.
Yes, the chosen one already happened. It's
This
all
is
right.
Star Wars. There's destiny written all over it.
Then explain Rogue One. There was no destiny in that.
Their destiny was to die.
Damn, cold-blooded, but a fair assessment. I'll give you.
That's just my first issue with it. If you have something else to interject, go for it.
No. I do want to say, gotta love Snoke. Gotta love the build-up, and then very much like Rey's heritage, nothing just got sliced in half. We were building him up. Apparently, he's got a pimp robe. He's got a gold
and he just
pimp
went,
robe.
ooh, as the lightsaber swung towards him, instead of like any other Sith Lord who would just would have been like,
And I feel him
Or
putting
not
his weapon towards his true enemy.
oh shit, it's right there. Fuck.
There it is. There's my appendix and everything surrounding my appendix. So that was, listen, as far as, Dark Lords of the Galaxy, not great. Not a great showing.
He was such a huge hologram in the last one. He
Dude,
was so big.
Here's the thing. I almost wanted him to just be gigantic.
Yeah.
I just wanted him to be big. Just a big muscle guy.
Just really small.
Oh, so
Like-
tiny. Like a Babu Frick.
Like, hello.
Just a Babu
I
Frick running the
am-
galaxy.
I am Snoke.
Oh.
But yeah.
And then Hux just getting bitched out the whole time was really unfortunate. Because that's when I realized, oh, they don't give a shit about, like, maintaining characters. That was... Once you realize that they aren't trying to, like, actually prop up their villains and make them serious anymore, that was an issue.
This movie also, another character that we didn't talk about yet, that they also just... Phasma.
Yeah. But
they were like,
that's very in character for creating a Boba Fett stand-in. You don't do anything cool in the movies, actually. You just stand around, it's like, hey,
well, we're going to get Gwendolyn Christie, like a popular actress from Game of Thrones. She's super tall.
Good with a
she's
sword.
like 6'2" or something like that. But
yes.
But yeah, we're going to do that. She's going to have some cool lines in the first one, and then this one...
Nothing. Well,
Nothing.
she's going to try and behead Finn, and then call him scum, and he's going to say rebel scum, and then that's going to be the arc. That's the arc, I guess.
Yeah, because now Finn is bought into being a rebel. But yeah, she's like people after Force Awakens were like, man, I wish she had done more. She was a cool character. And then they apparently heard that and said, let's make her actually do less.
Yeah.
Let's make her do less.
Well, Gwendolyn Christie, she's a very busy woman. She's doing Game of Thrones. She's
was over or close to over by this point.
But also doesn't matter because it's a woman in a suit, or even a guy in a suit. Because let's be honest, you can't tell. So she can just do what Pedro Pascal's been doing since season 2 of The Mandalorian. Just come in for the booth, man. Just come in on those days.
Like, that's fine. Like, but yeah, that whole arc between, and we haven't even gotten to my main issue, but the whole arc between,
we're saving it up.
Yeah, we're saving it till the end. You got to get those clicks. And that watch time, I guess. But the whole arc with Poe and Finn and Rose was so stupid. Also, every other Star Wars movie has been like super unclear about the timeline it took place. Like a lot of them, it's months on stuff.
Sometimes it's years.
Like, it is a while. But this one, they were like, we're going to do it in 3 days. Or it was a small number of days. And because of this. So I was like, why? You could have just taken more time and it would have been okay. But now they can track through hyperspace. Okay, that's a cool development. That is a cool threat, I guess. It's weird to put you on a time schedule, though. But yeah, the whole thing where they're like, Poe is like demoted and stuff because he's like a little reckless, which
it's bad to be a reckless hero. You now,
it's bad to be cool. It's bad to be a fan favorite character, I guess.
Yeah, like, Leia's like, I'm gonna ground you, and then I'm gonna basically be off the table for the rest of the film. And
you're
my
real son. I love you the most. That's why I'm grounding you.
Right.
But yeah. Then he's like, oh, okay. Well, we're being tracked through space. What's the plan, guys? Like, I know I'm not in charge anymore, but I would like to know the plan because I'm still an important person around here. I'm the best pilot you have. Like, I would like to know what's going on. And Holdo is like, I'm not going to tell you the plan. And he's like, tell me please. Like, I want to know how we're going to get out of this because
I want to help.
Otherwise, I'm going to go rogue. And then he goes rogue and it solves nothing. He takes Finn, who's trying to escape, takes Rose with them, who everyone finds annoying. She's just going to get in the way of the the Faye romance? No, the Rey Finn romance. Like, she's gonna like assault him when she's like about to pass out at the end of the movie.
But listen, God bless that actress. Just
she seems lovely.
She's a great performance. Because when I watched it for the first time, I was like, she's cool. I don't like what she's for, but she's cool.
I don't like her character, but she's doing a good job.
She's doing a great job. Let's bench her the whole next movie.
Because everyone hated her so much.
Right. Unfortunate. But no, I think we're dodging something right now. And I think it starts with an L and ends with a Walker. So, AJ, I want you to take point. Yeah, I want you to take point on this. I want you to tell me just what is your issue? How can we help here at Chaotic Crossover?
Luke Skywalker is my favorite Star Wars character. I grew up on the original trilogy. I grew up on the prequels too, but I grew up on the original trilogy more. Luke Skywalker is awesome. His whole journey, like finding out about the Force, losing his aunt and uncle, and then like eventually like looking like he might turn, but eventually saving Darth Vader from the dark side of the Force. Super cool. An epic story to watch. Everyone agrees that the original trilogy is good. Well, most people agree, I guess. I cannot speak for everyone. And then, he disappears for a while. Sure, could have been for any reason.
No, Jedi are allowed to disappear for a little bit. That is very much in standing with what they do.
He's going on some sort of vision quest or something. I don't know. But no. The man who redeemed Darth Vader, famed murderer and genocidal maniac.
Killer of children.
The man who redeemed him decided, I'm going to kill a child and be like my father. He changed his mind and obviously didn't do it. But then, after doing that, and turning Kylo to the dark side, he runs away from his problems.
It's tough. It's tough to defend. It's like, I'm going to go hang out, and I'm going to milk aliens for the rest of my life. I'm going to squeeze some blue milk titties.
Green milk now. Ooh.
Oh, that's better. Looking like you just finished a Lucky Charms cereal, and all that's left is the milk.
But the man who did all that, the man who went down all this path to learn how to use the Force, decides to reject the Force. And it's just like, I'm no Jedi, I can't train you. Also, just like Yoda, I'm gonna randomly put you on a planet with a random dark side hole.
Yeah, but it's vertical this time. It's not a cave, it's a ditch. It's just a hole you go into.
Yeah,
And
yeah, but like,
he's like, I'm gonna teach you about the Force so that you know how much the Force sucks.
right?
Which is just like, okay.
It's like, why can't you just be cool and like wise and maybe a little broken because you did that? That's fine.
Yeah,
But
you can be
like,
sad.
you were a new hope. You were the hope, and now you have none. Did you use it all? I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah. Also, did you not get like any ass in 40 years? Did you
Yeah, what
really
happened
hold on to the
to
one thing that was the downfall of the Jedi? Not getting any fucking ass, dude?
yeah, what happened to Mara
Yeah,
Jade?
Mara Jade. You had a wife, a banging redhead. You basically had a fucking Mary Jane Watson hanging around, dude. And she was a great Jedi badass.
Yeah, she was
That's
cool.
that's that's just a side tangent. But I'm also like, you telling me no bitches?
You're
Telling me
telling
no
me Luke
bitches out here?
Skywalker, the savior of the galaxy, the man who gets credit for killing the Emperor,
Yeah,
and
nothing.
he like there's no women like throwing themselves at him like
Or
Captain
guys.
America.
Yeah, no women or men throwing themselves
Yeah,
at
or
Luke.
freaks.
Or freaks. Any green freaks looking to crawl up inside the colon of the galaxy's most eligible bachelor? You
And
know?
then okay, and then they were like, okay, at the end of the movie, we're gonna do this thing with red sand and stuff. It looks very cinematic. It's very cool.
Force projection, yeah.
We're gonna
Which,
force
if you've seen
projection.
Dark Empire, yeah.
That's a cool new thing. That's a cool new
Yeah.
feat. Wow, that's it's kind of cool. It's a little bit weird at times the way that they did it. It's a little bit weird. His blue lightsaber again. He has dice for some reason. Um, it's a little bit strange. I thought he actually came to save the day, but okay, he does force projection, and then for actually no reason other than I guess to make Rey more alone, he dies from overexertion.
He forced it. You can't force the Force. He forced too hard.
He,
So that's
but, but
balance,
like,
I
but he
guess.
died. Like this epic hero dies with zero fanfare at all.
No,
Like,
it's not true. He dies with some fanfare. He bought time for the rebellion,
okay,
AJ.
but like after the Carrie Fisher dying before the movie came out, they could have just said, you know what, Leia dies instead for whatever reason because she randomly. That was another thing I didn't really talk about a lot. The Force pulling back into the thing and being fine.
The Mary
Weird.
Poppins.
Yeah, and also killing Admiral Akbar in that process. Fuck
Oh
you.
no, not Akbar.
Hey, fuck you. Like, and then putting fucking Holdo and making her just a bitch. Like,
But having
loved
a
her in
really
Jurassic
cool
Park.
maneuver. Very Laura Dern, great
Laura Dern,
actress.
amazing. But
Love you in Marriage Story. She's
awful
great.
character, terrible character. But yeah, he dies for no reason. I don't want to kill Luke Skywalker because I love him, as I said. If you want to kill Luke Skywalker, you want to do it, then just instead of doing the whole force projection, have him show up and sacrifice himself like Han did, and have him die.
Strike. Yeah, just to be fair, you could just be like, have him strike him down in anger and have him become more powerful than you could possibly imagine.
Yeah,
Just do it. Listen, if Obi-Wan can do it, Luke can do it. We've established it. Jedi can do everything.
Or even do the Yoda thing. He has, for some reason, he's super sick, and you establish that early in the movie. That's why he's been hiding. He's sick. He's gonna die. Oh.
He's got space chlamydia. You
He's
know,
got space herpes.
Yeah, he's got space herpes. He got it 40 years ago when he was doing backpack rides with Yoda, and he didn't wash his bag. So
And then the overexertion makes sense. Like he's using up the last of his strength. But instead he just kind of trembles a little bit and then goes into a ghost.
I'll tell you what. Before we finish up on like Luke, I do want to say great job with Frank Oz. I did like that Yoda comes back to give him one last lesson. Granted, Probably should have come a little bit sooner, Yoda. A little slow on the ball while you're in the Nether Realm.
Also,
Could have
give him
used
one
that
last
way
lesson
before.
right before he dies.
Yeah, right before he
Not
dies. Also, I'm gonna burn that tree anyway. Kakaoom. Also, Yoda, you can call down lightning from the sky as a Force ghost.
you could just
Why
always do
don't
that.
you? Do you not know that the Emperor like still exists? Just
Mm-mm.
shoot from the sky from his little back hook and just nail him.
But Will, that wasn't the destiny. That wasn't the thread
I'm
that
done
the
with the
Force was
destiny.
pulling.
AJ, I'm done with the destiny. We gotta listen. Duel of the Fates happened. There was one
Destiny
fate.
is a stripper, all right? Yeah, let's go.
Destiny is a child. No, we all know that. Destiny is a child.
Destiny has a child,
Oh, hush. Hush up. But
which is fate.
I think no, I think Luke ultimately it's a tough bid because when you think about it, Luke, yes, has a very defined character. And while I disagree with certain parts of it, I'm like, if we had more insight on what happened in the last 40 years, it might be a little bit more believable.
Sure.
However, we didn't. And
And the only
that's what
insight we
breaks it.
have is that he trained Grogu for a bit.
Yep.
And then stopped training Grogu. And also met Ahsoka, his hot aunt, and probably maybe he boned her.
Oh.
We don't know.
God, you are really on that, man. Dude, we're gonna have to talk about that someday.
You don't know.
I
You
don't
don't know.
I don't think I want to know. It's a little off. However, you know, with Luke dying, the legend of the Jedi still goes on in, The Last Jedi because Rey has the books and that one little boy, remember that one little boy with the broom who we set up doesn't come back at all. He actually died the next day. He died
Hey, if he had come back, that would have given a reason for them to go to that planet.
Yeah. Would have been
A reason.
Yeah. But unfortunately, no reason could be found.
DJ stuttered his way onto everything.
Yeah, unfortunately, Benicio del Toro just going for it in a role. It's just like, I'm the code cracker, and also I'm self-involved, and war's bad, but also I'm going to profit from war. But then...
He's the Lando because he turns on them. But he doesn't turn back.
AJ, I don't know if you knew this, but somehow Palpatine returned. Somehow. Palpatine is back on the menu, boys.
Okay,
it's
here's where we're going to switch roles.
Okay.
Because you're going to be the negative one. And I am not going to be the positive one. But here's what I'll say. Last Jedi was so bad and did so many things wrong, and with Carrie Fisher dying.
Yes, they are to blame for that.
I believe that The Rise of Skywalker did its best with what it was given. They did its best. Was it good? No. But it did its... We haven't even talked about the Knights of Ren and how they haven't done shit. Like they were mentioned and did nothing.
Let's talk quickly about the Knights of Ren. So, Kylo Ren, the whole deal is, his last name is Ren. He's supposed to come from the Knights of Ren, who are some kind of, old organization / cult that is maybe Force users, or there's something... It's almost like the spirit of the Wills, like the Wills from, Rogue One. It's almost something like that. Maybe they're Dark Jedi, maybe there's something else. Guess what they do, AJ? Fuck
Jack
all.
Shit.
They do jack and shit, and Jack left town because these gentlemen or ladies, we don't know, because they don't have a character. I don't think any of them have any fucking lines.
No.
And we're just expected by the end to be like, oh, look out for these Knights of Ren who you've seen in all of these cover designs and things like that.
They will be the same. They will serve the same role as those red guys in the last movie.
Yeah, who, by the way, are so cool. We didn't even talk about them. We didn't talk about them at all.
The Knights of Ren, they could have done so much with them. Also,
they could have been Luke's old like
Yeah, they could have been the
students.
rest of them. They
They
could have been the
could've been
rest. That would have been cool. That would have been cool.
Yeah,
They
or
created their own
they,
order.
or they could have been, like Snoke trained up all of these people. Like Kylo wasn't the only one. You
Right,
think
like
Kylo was the only one?
the rule of two is finally over, and there's a bunch of them, and they all have their own individual characters. Also, tangent to a tangent. Do you ever think about how Luke named his nephew? Like, fucking Han met Obi-Wan, and I guess Leia now canonly like knew him as a child. You ever
Yeah.
think about how Luke was like, you should probably call him Ben. I like the name Ben. His name is Ben now.
Well, I guess they all know that like he sacrificed himself so they could get off the Death Star. So maybe that was sort of the thing of like that. To be fair, Ben is the one that brought them all together. Ben is like the glue in that situation. So, Han wouldn't have met Leia, Luke wouldn't have met Han, none of them would have been friends, and, maybe Biggs Darklighter would still be alive, but nobody cares about that. We
Hey, at
don't
least
talk
Wedge
about
made
that.
it. I do love Wedge. I love me a Wedge.
I love Wedge. Tell me one character trait about Wedge, though. Tell me any character trait about Wedge, about why you like him, other than he survives.
He's loyal.
Okay.
I've been watching
So are
Rebels,
dogs.
and he was in the last Rebels episode I watched, and he's a
Oh.
little bit of a hot shot, a little bit of a flyboy,
Oh, good.
a little bit of a himbo.
Oh, God. Thank God we have Wedge on our side. The ultimate third, the spare, the Cedric Diggory of Star Wars.
Cedric Diggory dies.
Well,
Spoilers for another franchise that is also 20 years old.
yep, relevance-wise, he died. Anyhow, this fuck the Knights of Ren. They're not great, but somehow Palpatine returned, and also he fucked at some point.
And also,
somebody got with that guy after he looked like a burnt raisin oatmeal. After he looked like a Quaker's Oats oatmeal that was a little too wet. You
can just see in all the actors' eyes that they don't want to be there. Like,
it's like the last season of Game of Thrones. Everyone's just kind of like, hey, didn't think it'd go like this.
Right, like they didn't like the script. They didn't like the reception of the last movie. They didn't like anything that was going on. So they are, like, Oscar Isaac, amazing actor, just hates being there.
Yeah.
The whole thing that they did with Leia, where they brought back Carrie Fisher to do the extra lines, or like they brought back like the outtakes of her lines from the last movie.
Yeah.
And they used them, and they had to like cut around them to make it make sense, and they still didn't, because you watch them and she's like super angry, and then they're like, "Wow, that's General Organa," and you're like,
"Wow,
what?
She's so inspiring." Yeah,
but like, she's so inspiring, but she's like, "Guys, fucking pack up and get this shit on the move on." Wow, look at her go, and I'm like, I get it. You want to honor her memory. That's great. But
could you imagine if like you're in high school and your teacher just yells at you and bitches you out, and then one kid goes, "Wow, look at her go. She's such an inspiration." We would kick that kid's ass. like what a suck up.
Like
that was suck up. I'm not for that.
Yeah, like they could have given her, but thing. Like they wanted to honor her.
Maybe just say she passed away.
Yeah,
just be like that instead of I'm going to reach out. I'm going to reach out to Kylo while he's mid battle. I'm going to sleep and I'm going to lay down like the Emperor in Dark Empire. Help me into my bed, and then I'm gonna say Ben, and then he's just gonna get straight up stabbed in the stomach,
and then he's gonna see his dad. Oh no, not him. No, Rey sees his dad.
No, Kylo sees his dad.
That's right. It's been a while, and it's been a while on purpose.
Yeah, because he's like, I guess here's the thing. With that, how do you explain that Han's there? Is it just Kylo in his head? Did Leia pull some force strings and like say, hey, I need to pull him from the other half of the world, like the netherworld, and put him in here for a second?
Have Luke come. have Luke come and just be like, "Hey, I'm like give like a real apology. Like I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
Like,
fucked up.
it's like, I wasn't perfect either. I kissed your mom.
I kissed your mom, my sister. To be fair, she kissed me, so you can talk to her about that one.
And it was to make your dad jealous. The dad that you kebabbed.
There
But
was a weird love triangle at one time.
Chewie watched. Yeah.
Well, then it would have been Love Square.
Well, every triangle needs an eye. You know what I'm saying? Eye of the storm. Just a real shag carpet situation.
But yeah, I mean, again, they were working with what they had. They wanted to honor Carrie's memory. They wanted to bring her back, and somehow they didn't want to kill her off. I guess they didn't have her to be the Force Ghost, so they had Han do it. They were like, okay, the last movie was so bad. We need to have something that catches everyone's attention. Let's bring back the Emperor. They didn't do it correctly.
I'm basically hanging on a crane like
I'm
a creep.
Puppet. Yeah.
How are you alive? What is this? Is this your actual body? Or is it a clone body? You look like a cadaver. You look like a cadaver on a crane. There's that Robot Chicken episode where there's literally like, who's controlling this crane? Is there some dude in IT like who's just having to do the controls?
No, down. Yeah.
Oh God, it's so dumb, and he's got like Snoke pieces. He's got like pieces of Snoke in different chambers, like it's Build-A-Bear.
And they're like, it was me. I was Snoke. Ha 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 ha. Also, I'm your grandpa. I know in the last movie we're like, you're a nobody. But that's because we were trying to be mean and bully you. You're actually me.
Yeah, you're a Palpatine, baby. And your parents, well, let's not get into all those details.
Could have just been a female clone, but instead was a legitimate child.
Yeah, listen, I haven't read any of the novelizations or the extra things, but if you can't explain that to me in the movie, I'm having issues. Like, are you telling me that, like, Palpatine had, like, a concubine? Like, is this, like, the cursed child? Is it like Harry Potter the Cursed Child, where actually Voldemort did get his fuck on?
Oh, yeah, and I'm looking at the pictures right now. We'll put one up. Palpatine's son is just so hot.
Is he?
Like, I mean, in a very like standard white man way. But
okay, well, you got to get that somehow. But no, the thing about that is just, okay, I guess, like even in Dark Empire, they took a moment to explain what happened. You know what I mean? Like we talked about Dark Empire on the show. We had a good time. Care Bears there, all of that. But clones, they're just like, I have clones. I transfer my consciousness into them when I die so that then I can just keep on living.
Oh, yeah. Also, I have like 1,000,000 Star Destroyers still. I just have like a bunch of them. They're around, and they're better. They're cooler than the last ones.
Right. Each one has a laser with the capability of a Death Star.
You know how we tried to make the Death Star again? Like for a third time in the Force Awakens? Well, and that failed again. I decided, let's just make 100. Can't destroy them all.
And you know what I decided to do? We're gonna do the Emperor voice again. You know what I decided to do? I decided, what if I have like an Indiana Jones sort of adventure where
I like
you have
how both
to
of us do like the Donald Trump hands when we do the Emperor.
Yeah. What if I had like an Indiana Jones scavenger hunt where I basically put out clues to go and find my planet?
Ooh,
where I have a bunch of...
Look at the skyline on this knife. If you were standing 5 feet to the left, it wouldn't look like that. But you somehow found the right spot.
Don't even think about continental drift or anything like that, or the way that water actually works. We won't talk about it. But with that whole thing, also, I have a bunch of cultists down under like the ice, and do I have 1 billion people to pilot these Star Destroyers? Is it one person per ship? Like what's happening? Because when he says 1,000,000 Star Destroyers. I'm like, who are you? This isn't you, Sheev. This is too much.
I
This
love
is
calling him Sheev. It's such a dumb.
you.
I don't know if it's a real name. If I don't want to say if it's a dumb name, if it's a real name, because I'm sure. But like, his name is Sheev.
His name is Sheev Palpatine. You dumbass. So we have that, and then we have like the Lost Boys of stormtroopers just all doing their thing.
I
We don't
think
even
they're
have to.
cool. They didn't do enough with them. Also, Billy D. Williams is back and might be the dad of one of those. Maybe.
Hey there, little lady. I can't tell if it's all right to flirt with you or not, but I'm gonna wear a cape and make it work.
They could have brought back Billy D. back sooner, I think.
Yeah, but I think maybe he just didn't want to. But I think with the movies, it was good, and they have more of like the Force connection in this movie. They don't do much with it. She freaks out when she finds out that she's a Palpatine. She shoots lightning because she gets a little mad.
Yeah. Don't forget about the whole like arc with like Poe's ex-wife or whatever. Probably not a wife. But
Yeah, just
that's kind of cool. Babu Frick, everyone loves.
yeah.
C-3PO gets his memory wiped again, and it's really sad, but
And
not
then
really.
gets it back, because
this kind of
when you think about it, you only have about 50 years worth of knowledge out of like your 80 years of existence, so you're not missing too much.
Remember in Force Awakens when he had the red arm, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, he has a red arm! That's so weird. Why does it? Ew, ew, ew!" And then they were like, "Well, we're gonna lean into it. We're gonna write a comic about it that explains why he has red arm. Also, he always had a silver leg, so it's not that weird for him to have a different part." And then by I don't remember which one it was, 8 or 9, but they're just like, "Oh, I guess we'll just change it back." It's like, if you read the comic, it's like a meaningful reason he has it. I didn't read it, but I watched a video about it.
The issue with the movies, they would always take a chance and then they'd backstep it. That was the issue.
Oh yeah, and Hux is just a sniveling little bitch. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, but I agree. They would always backstep to the point where, you ruined Hux, so now we need to bring out the dad from Saltburn and make him like a really cool Imperial guy at the end. So you need to have an Imperial villain, but overall it becomes nothing, to the point where, at the end we have Palpatine just suck the life force out of Ben and Rey at the same time, and apparently that upgrades your clothes like World of Warcraft. You can you get full Sith robes, and then you're just unlimited power.
I will say, I thought it was a cool moment when all the old Jedi started talking through the Force. I was like, that's cool. That's paying homage to so many different things.
It did Clone Wars, you got Rebels, you got the prequels, like it's all very cool. And then you think about it, and then you realize, wow, this was just a couple of cool moments put together. And when you think about the emotional center of the movie is Chewbacca reacting to Leia being dead, like that's the most weight you feel in the movie. You failed, Your Highness. You failed.
Yeah, and then, okay, good guys win. They do a force pass of the lightsaber. Oh, also, the lightsaber that we broke in the last movie is fixed now because we didn't want to deal with that.
Right.
And then at the end, she's like, I'm Rey Skywalker. And you're like, whoa. And then other people were, like, really upset about that. I was honestly like, I don't really care at the end of the day. I think it's cool that her new lightsaber's made out of her, like, staff and, like, scavenged parts, like kind of her origins.
Should have been that for a while now.
Should have been.
Also, maybe when you force heal somebody, don't use up all your juice. Maybe do it in increments.
Yeah, he died, and they kissed, and it was weird because I was
remember when they did that, and we all just felt nothing.
Hey, you know that fan theory where where like Palpatine is basically Anakin's dad, right?
Yeah.
Let's trace that family line a little bit. They're related.
Because technically, Palpatine used midichlorians and manipulated the Force to put one in Shmi. So
Yep.
Sheev is Shmi's baby daddy.
Basically.
So unfortunately, what I guess what a repeat of history looking at Luke and Leia. So
yeah. And then they end the movie with like, she's like, I'm gonna pay homage to the twins because they're the Skywalker twins. They are at the center of everything. When they are, that's cool. And then she buries their lightsabers. Cool. No, she doesn't. She buries Leia's lightsaber and Anakin's lightsaber.
Yep. Whatever happened to Luke's green one?
So, you're not paying homage to them at all because that's not his. And any a little bit more than casual Star Wars fan knows that.
But
so, where's the green?
Don't mind us. Where's the green?
It's the one that actually mattered to Luke because it's the one that he constructed.
Yeah.
That's the one that we saw. You saw Luke and Leia fighting in the forest flashback.
And we saw that really rough photoshopped face. Those two faces just imprinted on those moments. And it's supposed to represent, Obi-Wan's hilt and Yoda's blade. And no, just not there. But at the end of the day, I don't give a shit about her saying Skywalker.
No,
we live in a world where Han Solo got his last name because he said he's alone to a Imperial recruiter. So he's just...
I need to rewatch that movie.
Yeah. So it's to Han Solo. Which is, like, that's the world we live in.
I remember not
where
hating that movie.
No, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It's not deep, but it's fun. But anyway, at the end of the day, I bet that these movies mean a lot to little kids. To kids growing up with this stuff right now.
And that's sad, and that's a bad thing. We need to fix it.
Hey, we gotta be real. The prequels were not amazing. As far as filmmaking goes, I gotta say, we gotta be fair. The sequel trilogy has the prequels beat as far as like film quality.
Look, I mean, special effects. Yeah, the more modern stuff is gonna be better.
Explain to me fully Anakin's turn, and I will rest on that case.
Okay, I have never been like a big prequel defender. I'm an original trilogy boy.
Okay.
I'm an original trilogy. I'd like you based on the time that we grew up. We should be prequel boys. I'm an original trilogy boy. I like the prequels. They're good for other reasons, and honestly, the Clone Wars saved their ass. That TV show saved them. But the script is bad. The story is good. The script is bad. That's what I'll say about the prequels. For the sequels, the story is bad, and the script is bad. The story is bad. I would rather have a good story and a bad script than even a good script and a bad story.
Yeah, there's not a lot of legs to stand on, unfortunately. But I think we've raged against the machine enough, because at the end of the day, AJ, it's Star Wars. There's always going to be some shit. Yeah. But then there's also going to be something great, Like, for example, we still have the books. We still have the comics. We still have the Acolyte, which, by the way, leagues better than what people are giving it credit for. But the characterization isn't perfect, but it's a pretty good show. The Mandalorian, pretty okay show. Boba Fett, not bad.
First two seasons of Mandalorian, great. Third season, okay. Book of Boba Fett, pretty bad. Haven't seen Ahsoka yet. I haven't finished Andor yet. People seem to love that one. But I will say, I do hate being the stereotypical Star Wars fan. We talked about this, but I hate being that because the stereotypical Star Wars fan hates Star Wars, and that sucks.
By the way, we already proved ourselves talking about the Acolyte. So we don't have to prove anything to anybody.
We
were okay. Real talk. I think we were the biggest fans of the Acolyte. We might have been the most positive thinking people on the Acolyte.
At least we were pretty up there. I mean, I watched some other people that were like, yeah, it was pretty decent. And there were other people that's like, yeah, it's decent. It didn't stick the landing, which is also what we said. But yeah, I mean, then it got canceled, so we're not going to see the continuation of that story, which is
fine.
Like, there's some questions I want answered.
Yeah.
But I would be okay if they were answered in me watching a YouTube video about a comic.
Right. Let me just listen. We know it's Plagueis. we know it's Plagueis. Yes. We know who that little freak is with his hands on the cave wall.
But see, what I want to know is, are they dating or not?
Jesus Christ. Well,
I hated myself for saying that. Cut that
anyway,
out. Cut that out of the video.
We're gonna have to talk about the Acolyte again someday, but the sequel trilogy. There are better Star Wars movies out there. It gave us a lot of cool stuff, but what were you about to say?
Let's take our creep to freak scale. Where's the rate on the creep to freak scale?
On the creep to freak scale, you go first. I feel like you have more of a definitive answer.
I think, and this is also based on opinion, it's that weird mossy pirate from The Mandalorian.
Huh.
Just like the weird dude that comes out of nowhere and is like, Grr!
Huh. That's not bad.
I think it's bad.
Overall, I'm gonna do, considering I love a good freak, I'm gonna give the sequel trilogy that one pirate with like a red helmet in The Force Awakens that Finn is trying to get passage from on the one planet
like
where they get attacked.
Scottish dude?
No, not the Scottish dude. Basically the one who has like a cape and he's a pirate captain. That guy. You want to know why? Because you can't remember him. You can't remember him that well.
I wish I could remember the sequels that well.
Yes, but at the end of the day, enjoy movies because they really mean nothing. We just love Star Wars.
It's more fun to like things than it's to not like things. So if you like them, it's okay.
In the words,
you're allowed to.
In the words of in the words of Mahatma Gandhi, be the Star Wars you want to see in the world.
Yeah, be the war you want to see in the world. Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah,
the man who spoke out against war said, "Be war." That's what he did. Yep. Yep.
Canon. We all have our crosses to bear. But thank you again for joining us for this.
Christian, I don't believe. Anyway.
Well, you know what? Thank you for joining us for Chaotic Crossover. I'm Will.
I'm AJ. Have a good.
May the force be with you.
Fuck you.